界のみんなとつながろう Bridges across world communities.
Hello everyone and welcome to Bridges Across World Communities, sponsored by NIA, the Nishinomiya City International Association. My name is Floyd.
And my name is Thelma. Each month, we provide practical knowledge for daily living and important information about disaster prevention.
This program is for English-speaking residents in the Nishinomiya area and is broadcast on the second and fourth Saturday of each month from 12 noon to 12:15.
Now, this month, we'll talk about Hello Cycling, the city's rent-a-bicycle system, and we also have some tips on preparing for typhoons.
And our guest is Mr. Richard May Jr., the former Consul General of the U.S. Consulate in Osaka.
提供は西宮市国際交流協会です。
Hello, Thelma. Looks like we made it through another dreadfully hot Japanese summer.
Hi, Floyd. Yes, and it was tough, huh?
Yeah.
Wasn't it? But we are now in autumn, the perfect season for enjoy all kinds of outdoor activities, and a good time for us to talk about bicycles.
Bicycles, nice segue. Bicycles are such an important part of daily life in Japan. You know, they're used for shopping, going to work, taking the kids to and from school, and of course for fun and exercise.
Yes, and it seems like everyone in this country, including children, owns a bicycle, Floyd.
Well, according to official statistics, only 50% of people in Japan own a bicycle. Now, that puts us in 7th place for per capita bicycle ownership, behind European countries like the Netherlands and Germany.
Yeah, and of course, bicycles are seen as an eco-friendly means of transportation, right?
Yeah, they are. Now, it's interesting. In Nishinomiya City, we have 3 train lines, the JR, Hankyu, and Hanshin railways. But they all run east-west between Osaka and Kobe, which is totemo benri, if that's the direction you're traveling.
Yeah, but if you want to travel north and south, say from Hankyu Shikugawa to Nishinomiyahama, the trains are not convenient at all.
Yeah, that's right. Now, this is where bicycles really can play an important role.
Exactly. Now, to make it easier to travel in a north-south direction, Nishinomiya City, with a cooperation of private companies, started a share cycle experiment called Hello Cycling.
Yeah, this new transportation service was started 4 years ago and allows users to borrow bicycles from unmanned bicycle rental and return bases, and these are known as cycle ports.
Yeah, and there are 70 cycle sports in the city with a total of over 370 bicycles available.
Yeah, 4 years ago there were only 15 cycle ports, so, it must be popular and much more convenient now.
Yeah, cycle sports can be found at train stations, more than 20 Family Mart and Lawson stores, several large parks, City Hall, and the Central Public Library, and many other places.
So how about if we explain how to use the system?
Okay. Now, step 1, free membership registration. Just download the free app, Hello Cycling, to your smartphones and register as a member.
Then you reserve your bike. You use the app to select a cycle port location and enter the date and time of your rental. Then you'll receive a bicycle ID number and a PIN number.
Yes, and step 3, pick up your reserved bike and travel to your destination. Now, the bike will be unlocked by entering the PIN number on the control panel of the bicycle. And when finished, return the bike to any cycle ports and select Return on the control panel.
Yeah, by the way, this service is available 24 hours a day, and all bicycles are equipped with electric assist. Yeah, that'll come in really handy for old people like me.
Yeah, okay. And the big question, how much does it cost?
I thought you'd never ask. Now, the fee is 130 yen for the first 30 minutes and 100 yen for every 15 minutes after that.
And that could add up quickly, right?
Yeah.
And I think this service might be more practical and convenient for short trips and rather than all-day use.
Yeah, both, but yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, for more details on cycle ports location, rental instructions, and so on, do a search, Hello Cycling Nishinomiya.
Now, there are a couple of really important things to be aware of before riding a bicycle in our area.
Now, first, according to the local law, you must have a proper insurance when riding a bicycle in Hyogo Prefecture.
That's right. If you don't know how to get bicycle insurance, NIA can help you.
Now, and second, since April of this year, there has been a best effort obligation rule in effect to wear a helmet while riding bicycles.
Now, even though it's not mandatory, wearing a helmet for your protection is a really smart idea.
Yeah, bicycles are a convenient, clean and cheap means of transportation, this might be a good time to check out the share cycle system.
Yeah, and remember, follow the rules and enjoy safe cycling. Our guest this month is an American who began his public service career in 1981 in Tokushima, Japan. He joined the U.S. Foreign Service in 1987 and has served in many countries since then. In September of 2020, he began his most recent assignment as Consul General of the U.S. Consulate in Osaka and retired from diplomatic service in August of 2023. It's my honor to welcome Richard May Jr. to the program.
Thanks, Floyd. It's great to be back.
It's good. Yeah, that's right. You were here. I think it was back in 2021 we did the first interview shortly after you first started here.
Right, and it was still in the midst of the pandemic, so a lot of things are different now.
I was going to mention that. Now, you arrived right in the middle of the pandemic. What kind of unexpected challenges did you face?
Well, when I first arrived, I had to quarantine for 2 weeks. So I was stuck in an apartment in Tokyo on the U.S. Embassy compound, and that's why my arrival here was delayed. But in terms of my work, of course, it meant fewer meetings, a lot of canceled conferences. When I invited people over for entertainment and representation, inviting people over and having dialogue is a part of our job. I couldn't hold anything very large. I mean, all the dinners or gatherings I had were relatively small. So I'd have to say in these 3 years, I probably did maybe just a fraction of what normally I'd do if it wasn't for the pandemic.
So are you finding the last several months when things have kind of eased up, you're doing a lot more?
Sure.
Activities?
Yeah, definitely busier and out much more. And a lot of things I'm doing for the first and only time, whereas they would otherwise be like held every single year. But one example is the Kyoto Prize in that's given out by Kyocera. Annual event honors people in the sciences who've done extraordinary work. And often there's an American honoree, and we have a role as part of the ceremony, but this entire time it had been canceled in person.
So it's usually a yearly event then?
Right, yeah. So they did it online. They gave the awards, but there was no event, and it's a gala event. It would have been the only time to wear a black, tuxedo.
Do you have your own tuxedo?
I do, yes. I mean, for this job, usually once a year I get to wear it. And I didn't because the Kyoto Prize was canceled each year.
Sounds like Consul General is a nice job. Sounds like you do a lot of socializing and partying. Is that pretty much it?
That's a part of the job.
Yeah.
I mean, you can certainly look at it from the outside and think that way, but there's a lot of real work behind it, and that includes evenings and weekends. And so it is a demanding job. And when emergencies happen, we're on call. So, you mentioned what people commonly perceive, and that is an aspect, but it's not the whole job.
Now, this assignment in Osaka, was this your first time as a Consul General with the Foreign Service?
Yes.
It was?
Yes. So to actually be in charge of a rather large consulate also has a lot of responsibilities. So the representation parts that I was just describing, again, that's often after hours, but it's still part of the work. During the so-called working hours, there's a lot to be done, both internally as well as externally in terms of outreach.
Okay, so it's not all partying. Now, our first interview back in 2021 took place on January 8th, and that was only a day or two after the mob attack on the U.S. Capitol in Washington. Now, we didn't have all the details at the time, but looking back now, is there anything you want to say about that at all?
Well, of course, there was an impeachment, and then President Trump was impeached by the House. He was not by the Senate. But the work from those hearings, I think, were very useful for the Justice Department's case against former President Trump, which was recently announced, and he went into the Justice Department, the court, actually, the other day to plead not guilty.
This is early August.
Exactly. So the process of the way justice works in America, I believe that things are proceeding, and we will see an outcome that the American public can feel that what had happened on January 6th will have been addressed in the court of law.
Well, let's hope so. I mean, if you look, somehow there's still well over 100 million Americans still support Trump and say they'll vote for him. This is early August we're talking about. And it seems like it's possible he could still be elected president next year.
Right.
It's a little bit frightening to me.
Well, we'll see what the outcome is of this current case. It seems to be the most damaging. There are 3 other cases that are ongoing.
So the election tampering in Georgia, some civil cases.
So the cumulative effect may change some minds of those people you were just describing.
Let's hope so. Let's hope that happens. Now, over your long career, you've served under, I think, 7 U.S. presidents. Is that correct?
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So do you have any favorites of that group or anything you want to say about it?
I won't name favorites, but I will say the president who I had the most respect for was the first President Bush, George H.W. Bush. And I say that because he was a World War II veteran. He was shot down on his bombing mission over Chichijima, parachuted out of his plane, but his 2 fellow airmen perished. He was actually picked up by a U.S. submarine and survived the war, and of course had a distinguished public service career until he became president. But it's that World War II experience that I highlight because he spoke at the 50th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor on the beginning of the U.S. Of World War II for the United States, and he remarked on how it was he had no rancor against Japan, that was in the past, and he treated Japan as friends. And that's very important.
Well, it's good to hear this perspective. Again, you've worked under all these presidents over the last almost 40 years. So now we've run out of time. I just want to quickly say you've come full circle, and it must be kind of gratifying to end things in Japan, end your career here, where it all started 40 years ago. So very quickly, what are your plans for retirement?
I'm going to Italy, and I'm bringing my dog, which I adopted here. So Shiba Inu in Italy will be very special.
Okay. We got a lot more to talk about, so we'll pick this up again next month, and we'll air the second half of the interview in October. Thanks for joining us today.
Ciao.
防災情報です。
Well, autumn is here, which means it's typhoon season in Japan. Last month, Typhoon number 7 pounded Nishinomiya and the entire Kansai region.
Now it's a good time to prepare for the coming storms and these important tips.
Now keep up to date with the latest information on approaching typhoons from reliable multi-language sources like the Japan Meteorological Agency or NHK World Japan.
Stay indoors during a typhoon and even beforehand while it's approaching.
Store extra water and food supplies in case of utility cutoffs and disaster conditions.
Keep a battery-operated radio handy and extra batteries for your smartphones too.
Outdoor objects such as potted plants, gardening tools, and so on should be brought indoors. They can become dangerous projectiles if caught up in strong winds.
Clear the drainage areas around your house to help prevent flooding.
And lastly, know the location of your nearest evacuation center and how to get there quickly.
Keep safe by being prepared. For inquiries about City Office services in English, please call the Nishinomiya Multilingual Call Center at 0798-365000.
For consultation services and any other inquiries, contact NIA at 0798-328680 or send an email to nia@nishi.or.jp. Our English-speaking staff will be happy to help.
Be careful everyone and keep safe.
提供は西宮市国際交流協会でした。
Have a great weekend, everyone.